All right, you guys, so here's page 4 of the integrals review. So for number 16, you have this piecewise function, and they want to know what is the value of the integral from 0 to 3 of f of x dx. So if you kind of notice here, the integral only goes from 0 to 1 for x squared plus 4. So if we kind of write this out or draw it out. So I know from 0 to 1, so from 0 to 1, my function is going to be x squared plus 4. And then everywhere else, it's going to be 6 minus x. So we're only going from 0 to 3, so that means here it's going to be 6 minus x. So the way that I'm going to split this integral up, I'll do it up here. I'm going to go integral from 0 to 1 of x squared plus 4, and then plus the integral from 1 to 3 of 6 minus x. Okay, now it's just a matter of taking the integral and figuring out what the answer is. So the integral of x squared is x cubed over 3. The integral of 4 is 4x, and I'm evaluating from 0 to 1. And then plus the integral of 6 is 6x, minus the integral of x is x squared over 2. Again, I'm evaluating this one from 1 to 3. Okay, now plugging these in, if I do top minus bottom, and then I have another top minus bottom. Okay, plugging in the 1 into here, I'm going to get a 1/3 plus, let me make this a little bigger for you guys so you can see a little bit better. And then if I plug the 1 into here, 4 times 1 is 4. Now plugging the 0 into both of these is going to zero them out, so this guy's actually completely gone. Okay, now plugging the 3 in, 6 times 3 is 18, minus 3 squared is 9 over 2. And then if you plug in a 1, that's going to be 6 minus, and then 1 squared is 1, and then it's over 2. Okay, so technically I have this big old string of numbers. I've got 1/3 plus 4 plus 18 minus 9 over 2. Then if you distribute that negative, I have minus 6 plus 1/2. Okay, let's add all the whole numbers here. I have 4 plus 18 is 22. 22 minus 6 is, oh my gosh, I can't think. 22 minus 6 is 16. Okay, and then if I add my fractions, negative 9 over 2 plus 1 over 2 is a negative 8 over 2. And then I still have the 1/3. So this ends up being 16 minus 4 plus 1/3. 16 minus 4 is 12. 12 plus 1/3 is 12 1/3. So kind of a funky question. It has to be between 10 and 15, so your answer would be C. Okay, number 17, average value. Okay, we just learned about this. Average value, the formula is 1 over b minus a integral from a to b of what you're taking the average value of, which is f of t. So plugging that into your equation, remember this is your a, this is your b, so you're going to have 1 over 1 minus negative 1. Look out for that double negative there. Integral from negative 1 to 1 of 2t cubed minus 3t squared plus 4. Okay, so on the outside of the integral, we're going to have a 1 over 2. That's adding these guys together. And then taking the integral of 2t cubed is 2t to the 4 over 4. The integral of 3t squared is 3t cubed over 3. And the integral of 4 is 4t. And I'm evaluating that from negative 1 to 1. Okay, I still have this 1/2 on the outside. Let's reduce this. So this guy right here, the 2/4 just reduces to 1/2. So I have t to the 4th over 2. These guys cancel, making it a t cubed plus 4t evaluated from negative 1 to 1. Okay, now I still have this 1/2 on the outside. And then I'm going to do a top minus a bottom. So plugging this in, plugging in a 1, I'm going to get 1/2. And then I'm going to have minus 1 and then plus 4. And then plugging in a negative 1, I'm going to have, again, a 1/2. And then negative 1 cubed is negative 1, but with a negative in front, we'll make it a positive 1. And then 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Okay? So writing this out, I'm going to have 1/2. And then removing the parentheses, I have 1/2 minus 1 plus 4. Distributing that negative, I'm going to have minus 1/2 minus 1 plus 4. Notice my 1/2s cancel out, so this is really half of negative 1 plus 4 is 3. Negative 1 plus 4 is another 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So this is going to be half of 6, which is just 3. So the answer would be C. Kind of an annoying little problem. I don't like that very much. Okay, number 18. Again, another average value problem. So same formula that we used here. I'm not going to rewrite it. Okay, but this time your A and the B is pi, 0, and pi over 4. So you can have the integral of pi over 4 minus 0, evaluated from 0 to pi over 4. And then my function this time is secant squared x. Okay, that does not look like that. So this is going to be 1 over pi over 4, because pi over 4 minus 0 is 0. Then the integral of secant squared is tangent. And I'm going from 0 to pi over 4. Now, you guys, something to notice here. This looks dumb, right? 1 over pi over 4, if you really do that, I'm going to do it right here. 1 divided by pi over 4 is the same thing as 1 times 4 over pi, multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's just really 4 over pi. So I'm going to go ahead and change this whole thing to 4 over pi so it doesn't look so lame. Okay, then plugging this in, doing a top minus a bottom. So plugging in the pi over 4, that's going to be tangent of pi over 4. And then this is going to be the tangent of 0. Hey, be careful with trig functions. I know that we're just like crossing the 0 out all the time, but don't do that if it's a trig function because it may not actually be 0, okay? So what do we get here? This is going to be 4 over pi. The tangent of pi over 4 is 1, and the tangent of 0 is 0. Okay, so then 4 over pi times 1 is just going to be 4 over pi. So you're going to have B. Okay, this one, kind of a funky little question. Okay, they want you to find the value of A. So I have no idea what that is. That's what I'm looking for. So you guys, let's look at this. To get to A, I guess the first thing that I could do, I need to get rid of that integral somehow. So let's maybe take the derivative of both sides. So if I take the derivative of this, I'm going to get 15x squared. The derivative of 40 is 0. And then if I take the derivative here, now it becomes FTC2, right? The derivative and the integral cancel out, and that just plugs in. So now I have 15x squared equals f of x, okay? But you guys, that's still not really helping me because I need to find the A, and I just lost the A. Well, remember, x is just a variable. This can like literally be the same thing as 15t squared equals f of t. It doesn't matter what your variable is. But by doing that, and this was the tricky part of this question, if I know what f of t equals, I can actually plug it into there. Okay, so let's rewrite the equation that we have. We have 5x cubed plus 40 equals the integral from a to x of 15t squared dt. Okay, and by doing that, maybe hopefully we can find out what this is. So let's integrate this. So I'm going to have 5x cubed plus 40 equals the integral of 15t squared is 15t cubed over 3, evaluated from a to x. Okay, if we keep going with that, I'm going to have 5x cubed plus 40 equals, reducing this right here, that's going to give me 5 t cubed evaluated from a to x. And then let's go ahead and evaluate that. This would be 5x cubed plus 40 equals, and then if I do a top minus a bottom, okay, this is probably getting me somewhere. If I plug that in, that's going to be 5x cubed. If I plug that in, that's going to be 5a cubed. Okay, which is kind of cool because look what I have left over now. If I remove those parentheses, I have 5x cubed plus 40 equals 5x cubed minus 5a cubed. And notice there's a 5x cubed on either side. If I subtract them, they're gone. So now I have 40 equals negative a cubed. If I divide by negative, I get negative 40 equals a cubed. Okay, and then how do we get rid of a cube? Well, we just take the cube root, right? So if I take the cube root of this, I forgot the 5. Hang on a second, back up. I'm like, this isn't working out. It's because I'm stupid. Okay, back to this. I forgot my 5. Negative 5a cubed, there we go. And then if we divide by negative 5, that's going to give me negative 8 equals a cubed. And then if I take the cube root of both sides, that's going to give me that a equals -2. Okay, definitely a weird problem. So a equals -2, that would be a. Okay, let's look at 20. Okay, this is giving me this equation here, and it's saying find g prime of square root of pi. Don't let that freak you out. Just go ahead and do what it says. First, it's telling you to find the derivative of g. So let's do that. If I take the derivative of g of x, that's going to give me g prime of x. And if I take the derivative, because if I do take the derivative of one side, I have to do it to the other, right? So if I take the derivative of the other side, the derivative and the integral cancel out, and then let's bring the 2x in. So that's going to give me the cosine of 2x. This is getting squared because of this little squared. Okay, and you guys remember, if this is anything but an x, I have to chain rule it. So the derivative of 2x is 2, so I need to multiply that by 2. So simplifying this gives me that it's the cosine, I can put the 2 in front, 2 cosine of 4x squared. Okay, but not quite done yet. They want me to replace the x with the square root of pi. So let's go ahead and do that. So this would be 2 cosine of 4 square root of pi squared, which gives me the 2 cosine of square and square root cancel, 4 pi. And you guys, where's 4 pi? Let's check it out. It's been a while since we've done this. So I have, let's see, this is 0, this is 1 pi, this is 2 pi, this is 3 pi, so this is going to be 4 pi. So I'm actually right here, and the point there is 1 comma 0. This is your cosine, this is your sine. So if I want the cosine of 4 pi, the cosine of 4 pi is just 1. So this is 2 times 1, which is just 2. So that answer was A, again. Okay, now looking at this one, consider the function f. So here's my new function f. Find the value of f of 2 and f prime of 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. If I want to find f of 2, okay, let's just replace this x here with a 2. If I replace one x with a 2, that means I have to replace with this a 2 also, right? So that would give me that f of 2 plus 5 equals the integral from 2 to 2 of the sine of pi t over 4 dt. Okay, now something cool here that I see, if I'm integrating from 2 to 2, remember this was one of our rules, all of this is just going to equal a big fat 0. So now I really have f of 2 plus 5 equals 0. If I subtract the 5, that means f of 2 is -5. Okay, so this guy here is -5. Now, I still need to find f prime of 2, and then I'm going to add them together, and that'll give me my answer. So to find f prime of 2, let me erase that. Let's go ahead and, because I want a f prime in there, let's go ahead and take the derivative of everything in here. So the derivative of f is f prime. The derivative of 5 is 0. And then the derivative of an integral, that's again that second fundamental theorem that's going to drop in, is going to be the sine of pi x over 4. Okay, but I want f prime of 2, so let's replace that x with 2. So f prime of 2 is the sine of, replacing that x with 2, I'm going to get 2 pi over 4. And that gives me the sine of pi over 2. And you guys, pi over 2, remember, is up here, if I look at my graph right there, and that point up there is 0, 1. So cosine sine, the sine of pi over 2 is 1. So putting that in here, -5 plus 1, that's going to give me a -4. So E. Okay, last one. F and g are continuous such that g prime of x is f of x. Then what's the integral from 2 to 3 of f of x? Well, if I know that f of x and g prime of x are the same, basically that just means that I can replace this f of x with g prime because they're the same. So what's the integral from 2 to 3 of g prime of x? Hey, you guys, remember when you take the integral, right? This is just fundamental theorem. This would be g of 3, or net change, g of 3 minus g of 2. Okay, so that would be D. If you want to see the longer version of that, remember integral from 2 to 3 of g prime of x. Here, I'll do it another way. If I take the integral and a derivative, they cancel out. So this is just g of x evaluated from 2 to 3. And then you just do top minus bottom. So that would be g of 3 minus g of 2. Okay? All right, hope that helped. See you guys Monday.